Betrayal doesn't just wound, it shatters your reality, leaving you to sift through the wreckage of a life you thought was yours. That's what crashed into me when I discovered my girlfriend, Sophie, wove a web of lies to steal the luxury getaway I'd planned for us, turning it into a party with her boss and strangers. I'm Ethan, a 30-year-old guy who's always given my all to what matters most, and Sophie, 28, was my everything. We'd been together for 3 years, building what I believed was a future filled with love and trust. When her birthday and our 3rd anniversary landed just a week apart, I wanted to make it unforgettable. I poured my heart into crafting a 5-day escape to a lavish resort in San Diego, not some ordinary vacation, but a dream come true. I booked the finest suite, arranged thrilling activities, and reserved a private dinner by the ocean. Every detail was meticulously planned because I had a secret. I was going to propose. I'd saved for nearly a year for a ring. Classic, elegant, perfectly her style. In my mind, I saw us strolling along the shore at sunset, her saying yes, and me feeling like the luckiest man alive. We'd been talking about forever more often, and it felt like the moment to take that leap. When I first shared the plan with Sophie, her excitement seemed genuine. She gushed about how incredible San Diego would be, joking that her social media would be flooded with photos of the waves, the meals, and the golden sunsets. I'll confess, her focus on posting online annoyed me a bit. I wanted her to savor the moment, not the likes, but I let it slide. That's just Sophie. She thrives on sharing her life with the world. But as the trip drew closer, her enthusiasm faded. At first, I thought it was just a rough day. Everyone has them. But it became a pattern. Her texts slowed, her calls went unanswered, and when I mentioned the trip, her replies were lukewarm. Sounds fun, or I'm excited, with none of her usual spark. I tried to be patient. Sophie had mentioned work stress. She's a graphic designer with freelance gigs on the side, so I figured that was weighing her down. Still, a nagging feeling told me something wasn't right. I checked in with her a few times. "Is something bothering you about the trip? Are you okay?" I'd ask, hoping for honesty. Each time she brushed me off. "You're overthinking, Ethan. Everything's fine," she'd say, quickly changing the topic. About 2 weeks before we were set to leave, I noticed her glued to her phone more than usual. Sophie's always on her phone, so normally I wouldn't care, but she was secretive. If I walked in, she'd lock her screen or flip her phone face down. I teased her once. "What, planning a surprise for me?" She laughed awkwardly, muttering, "Something like that." I tried not to obsess, but my instincts screamed trouble. The secrecy, her fading excitement, and the fact that she'd been spending more time with her best friend, Emma, all added up. Emma and Sophie go way back, so I didn't mind at first, but I couldn't ignore how Emma's name kept popping up whenever Sophie canceled plans with me. One evening, about a week before the trip, Sophie said she had to work late. Freelance projects sometimes keep her busy, so I didn't question it. But later, scrolling through social media, I saw Emma's story. They were out at a restaurant together. My stomach twisted. I didn't confront her. I didn't want to seem possessive. But why lie? If she wanted to hang with Emma, she could have just said so. The night before our departure, I packed my bags, checked the itinerary, and made sure the ring was safe. Sophie texted me around 10 at night, saying she was exhausted and hitting the hay early to be ready for our morning flight. I told her to rest well and that I'd pick her up at 9 sharp. Her reply? A thumbs up emoji. Not the warm response I'd hoped for, but I let it go. As I lay in bed, a sinking feeling lingered. I told myself I was paranoid. This trip would be perfect. Little did I know, the next 24 hours would shatter everything I thought I knew about Sophie, our relationship, and even myself. The morning of the trip started like any other. I woke early, checked my bag, and ran through my mental checklist. Then, panic hit. My passport was missing. I couldn't believe I'd overlooked something so basic, but I remembered leaving it in my office drawer after some work paperwork a few weeks earlier. No big deal. I'd swing by, grab it, and still make it to Sophie's with time to spare. I texted her that I'd be at her place by 9:30. No reply, but I didn't think much of it. The office was quiet when I arrived. My assistant, Mia, looked surprised to see me. "Morning, Ethan. Shouldn't you be on your way?" I explained I was just grabbing my passport, but before I could, she dropped a bombshell. "By the way, your meeting with Apex Corp starts in 10 minutes. Are you ready?" I froze. "What meeting?" Mia frowned, confused. "The one with Apex. It's been on your calendar all week. You confirmed it days ago." I checked my phone, and there it was. A meeting I'd supposedly agreed to. My stomach churned as I scrolled through the email chain. The invite had come earlier that week, but I hadn't responded. Someone else had, using my email, with a reply that read, "Ethan's in, looks great." That someone was Sophie. My mind reeled. Was this an accident? A mix-up? But deep down, I knew it wasn't. Sophie had orchestrated this. She knew I couldn't skip a meeting once it was scheduled. It would risk my reputation and my company's relationship with a major client. Mia said the Apex team was already waiting in the conference room. I had no choice. I locked my emotions away, put on a professional face, and walked into that room. But my head was spinning. Sophie's odd behavior, the canceled plans, the evasiveness, the time with Emma, suddenly felt calculated. I couldn't stop replaying the past few weeks, her strange vibe, her lack of enthusiasm, and how she'd been pulling away. I'd written it off as stress, but now it felt like a deliberate plan. As the meeting dragged on, I kept checking my phone, hoping Sophie would explain. Nothing. When it finally ended, I rushed to my desk, ready to call her, but something urged me to check her social media. It felt silly, but when I opened her stories, my heart sank. There she was, at the resort I'd booked for us, lounging by the pool with Emma, laughing like she hadn't a care in the world. I scrolled further and saw the suite, our suite, where I'd planned to celebrate her birthday and our anniversary. She wasn't alone. Emma was there, but so were a few guys I didn't recognize, all grinning and posing like they were living their best lives. I watched the stories over and over, trying to make sense of it. The Sophie in those videos wasn't the woman I'd spent 3 years with, planning a future together. I called her, straight to voicemail. I texted, "What's going on? Why are you there without me?" No reply. She'd taken my reservation, my money, and turned our trip into her own party. The betrayal hit like a tidal wave, leaving me sick with disbelief. I kept calling, my anger growing with each unanswered ring. Finally, the next morning, after about a dozen attempts, she picked up. I didn't hold back. "Sophie, you sabotaged my morning to steal this trip. What the hell?" Her response was infuriatingly casual. "Ethan, I needed this to clear my head. You're always so serious, so focused on your plans. I just wanted to have fun." Fun. My voice shook with a mix of anger and disbelief. "This wasn't some random vacation, Sophie. It was for us, your birthday, our anniversary. I was going to propose." Silence. Then she said words that still haunt me. "Maybe it's good you didn't. You're kind of dull sometimes. You'd have ruined the vibe." Dull. Ruined the vibe? After 3 years, after all I'd poured into this, months of planning, my time, my money, my heart, she had the nerve to dismiss me like that. It was like everything I thought I knew about our relationship was a lie. I was done. "Fine, Sophie," I said, my voice steady despite the rage. "If I'm so dull, you don't need my plans, my money, or me. Enjoy your trip. You're on your own. I hung up before she could respond. My hands trembled as I called the resort. The receptionist was kind and understanding when I explained how Sophie had checked in without me, unauthorized. She couldn't offer a full refund since Sophie was already there, but I could reclaim most of the money for the remaining nights. I agreed instantly. Losing a bit of cash was worth ensuring she couldn't revel in her stolen vacation. I canceled the activities too, the private dinner, the kayaking tour, even the sunset sail I'd planned for the proposal. Each cancellation felt like taking back a piece of control, a small victory in the face of her betrayal. Finally, I canceled her return flight. That one felt especially good, knowing she'd have to face the consequences of her actions. A few hours later, my phone lit up with Sophie's messages. First, anger. "You're so petty, Ethan. Ruining my trip like this?" Then guilt-tripping. "I can't believe you're this immature. Grow up." Finally, desperation. "Ethan, please. I messed up. Rebook the flight, and we'll talk when I'm back." I ignored them all. She called, but I didn't answer. I couldn't. I was too angry, too disgusted to hear her voice. She didn't just betray me. She'd planned it, lied to my face, and used my money to party with strangers. I was furious, not just at her, but at myself for not seeing it sooner. The little things I'd brushed off, her secrecy, her evasiveness, her time with Emma, now screamed of a calculated betrayal. I sent one final text. "You wanted fun? Have it. But don't expect me to fix your mess. Find your own way home." Then I blocked her. Sophie kept trying to reach me, through friends' phones, emails, even apps I'd forgotten I had. Her messages swung from rage, calling me childish for canceling everything, to pleading for forgiveness, begging me to talk. I stayed silent. I needed to focus on myself and figure out what came next. But I did reach out to her parents, the Wilsons, who'd always treated me like family. I called her mom, Linda, keeping my tone calm but honest, and laid it all out. Sophie's lies, the trip, the sabotage. Linda was stunned, letting out a deep sigh. "Ethan, I'm so sorry. I had no idea." Sophie had lied to them too, claiming I'd canceled for work and that she was just making the best of it. She even painted herself as the victim, saying I neglected her with my workaholic ways. Hearing that fueled my anger. Not only did she betray me, but she manipulated her family to cover her tracks. Linda apologized repeatedly, saying this was unlike Sophie, and she couldn't believe her daughter would be so selfish. It hit me. Sophie wasn't just lying to me. She was deceiving everyone. Linda asked what I planned to do, and I told her the truth. I've canceled everything. The room, the activities, her flight. She's on her own now. Linda paused, then said, "Honestly, Ethan, I don't blame you. She needs to grow up and deal with the mess she made." Sophie's dad, Tom, got on the phone next. He's a straight shooter, not one for warm chats. When I told him, he was blunt. "That's ridiculous. She's 28, not 18. She knows better." He added, "We're not bailing her out. She made this mess. She can clean it up." Their support was validating, not just for my pain, but for my decision to cut her off. Later that day, Sophie must have realized her parents weren't coming to her rescue, because the messages poured in again. At first, she played the victim. "Why'd you tell my parents? That's so immature, Ethan. This is between us." But when she saw they wouldn't send money for a flight, her tone shifted. "Ethan, please. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I just needed space to figure things out." Then, "Can we talk? I made a mistake, and I need your help. I'm sorry, okay? Just call me back so we can fix this." Fix this? I wasn't the one who broke anything. She'd lied, schemed, and betrayed me. At one point, she even tried guilt-tripping. You're really going to leave me stranded here after 3 years together? That's so cold. Cold. Coming from the woman who sabotaged me and used my money to party with other guys. The audacity was unreal. I didn't respond. Not to the guilt trips, not to the fake apologies, not to her pathetic attempts to shift blame. I blocked her number, but she found other ways. Emails, social media, even using Emma's phone to call me. Speaking of Emma, I'm not sure what her deal is. Part of me wants to believe she didn't know the full story, but she had to know something was off. Either way, I'm not interested in her excuses. Sophie's still stuck in San Diego, her parents refusing to help. Linda told me Sophie doesn't have enough in her account to book a flight back. Thanks to everyone who suggested telling her parents, it felt incredible to have their support and know I wasn't crazy for being so angry. This has been a wake-up call. I spent 3 years with someone who didn't value me, and I'm done making excuses for her. Sophie can figure out how to get home on her own. I'll keep you posted. Something tells me this isn't over yet. Update 1. Hey, everyone. Things have escalated since my last post, and I owe you an update. First, thank you for the advice. Many of you encouraged me to tell Sophie's parents, and after some thought, I realized they deserved the truth, especially since she'd likely reach out to them for help. The Wilsons have always been good to me. Linda called me her future son-in-law and joked about saving a spot in the family photo album. Tom, more reserved, bonded with me over sports and DIY projects. I called Linda, keeping my tone calm but firm, and told her everything. Sophie's lies, the trip, the sabotage. She was quiet at first, then sighed deeply. Ethan, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. Sophie had lied to them, saying I couldn't go due to work and that she didn't want the tickets to go to waste. She painted herself as the victim of my supposed workaholism, claiming she needed the trip to clear her head after my neglect. That pissed me off. Not only did she betray me, but she manipulated her family too. Linda apologized repeatedly, saying this was unlike Sophie, and she couldn't believe her daughter would be so selfish. It hit me. Sophie wasn't just lying to me, she was deceiving everyone. Linda asked what I planned next, and I was honest. I've canceled everything. The room, the activities, her flight. She's on her own. Linda paused, then said, I don't blame you. She needs to face the consequences. Tom got on the phone, blunt as ever. That's ridiculous. She's 28, not a teenager. She knows better. We're not bailing her out. Hearing that was satisfying, validating my pain and my decision to cut her off. Later, Sophie realized her parents wouldn't help, and her messages flooded in, first accusing me of being immature for telling them, then begging, Ethan, I didn't mean for this to go so far. I need your help. I'm sorry. She even tried, You're really leaving me stranded after 3 years? That's cold. I ignored it all. She's still stuck, and I'm done. Thanks for the support. Let me know if you want more updates. Update 2. I'm back with a wild update, and trust me, it's a doozy. After canceling Sophie's hotel stay, activities, and return flight, she was stuck in San Diego. Her parents refused to help, and she didn't have enough money for a flight home. Mutual friends spilled that she'd burned through her cash trying to keep up appearances while partying with Emma and those guys. She tried leaning on Emma for help, but Emma bailed, leaving early without telling her. Turns out, Emma isn't as loyal as Sophie thought. Eventually, Sophie borrowed money from a friend who felt sorry for her, but it came with strings. She had to repay every cent within a week, sinking her deeper into a financial hole. Her social media's been quiet since, a stark contrast to her usual posts. But something about the guys in her stories kept bugging me, so I dug deeper. One was Nathan, her boss. I recognized him from her work events, and his public social media revealed the truth. Dinners, hikes, and outings with Sophie, some tagged as girls' night with Emma. The night she claimed to work late, Nathan was there. The weekend she was too tired to hang out, she was at brunch with Nathan and Emma. Even a Las Vegas company retreat she said was a family visit, she was with him. I messaged Nathan, "Hey, looks like we've been played by the same person." He responded fast, confused at first, but when I sent screenshots of my texts with Sophie and photos of us, his tone changed. He called me and we had a long talk. Nathan had no idea Sophie was in a relationship. She'd told him she was single, focusing on her career, and orchestrated work meetups at trendy restaurants or coffee shops, dropping hints about her unfulfilling personal life. One time, she asked him to drive her home after a team event, claiming she'd left her car, and spent the drive talking about feeling stuck. Nathan admitted he'd been interested, but hesitated as her boss to avoid crossing lines. Sophie, though, pushed those boundaries, convincing him the San Diego trip was a harmless group outing. Now he sees she was grooming him, maybe as a backup, maybe as her main plan. As we compared notes, everything clicked. The late nights, the canceled plans, the lies about her whereabouts. Emma was in on it, covering her tracks. Nathan was furious, feeling betrayed as both her boss and someone who thought she cared. He apologized, which I appreciated. We agreed Sophie needed to face consequences. Nathan's figuring out how to handle it at work, and we're planning to confront her. Sophie has no idea we're talking, and I'm looking forward to her reaction when the truth hits. Emma's just as guilty, and I'm done with her too. Sophie keeps trying to reach me. Emails, random numbers, voicemails with excuses like, "Ethan, I didn't mean for this to happen. Can we talk?" "No, we can't. I'll keep you updated. This is far from over." Update 3. Final update, and it's the most satisfying yet. After Sophie's lies, manipulation, and double life, it was time for real accountability. Nathan and I teamed up to expose her, planning carefully to avoid seeming vindictive. Nathan set up a work call with Sophie, and I joined as a surprise guest. Her face fell when she saw me. "What's he doing here?" she stammered. We laid out everything, screenshots of my texts, photos of us, old anniversary posts proving our 3-year relationship, and Nathan's story of how she pursued him at work, lying about being single and using Emma to cover her tracks. She tried to deny it. "This is a misunderstanding. You're blowing it out of proportion." But as we piled on evidence, she broke down, sobbing. "I didn't mean for it to happen like this. I felt stuck and didn't know what to do." I wasn't having it. "Stuck? You weren't stuck, Sophie. You juggled 2 people who trusted you, lying to everyone around you. That's not stuck. It's selfish." Nathan was just as blunt. "Do you realize how many boundaries you crossed? You didn't just lie. You jeopardized my reputation and made me look like an idiot." She had no response, just tears and mumbled apologies. Neither of us cared by that point. After the confrontation, Nathan took the matter to HR, explaining how Sophie had manipulated their professional relationship. Other co-workers came forward with their own stories. Sophie wasn't popular at work, with a reputation for being fake and manipulative, but most stayed quiet to avoid drama. Nathan's report opened the floodgates, and within a week, Sophie was let go for violating workplace policies. She tried to fight it, but the evidence was overwhelming. Getting fired was just the beginning of her downfall. Word spread quickly, and her friends started cutting ties one by one. Emma, her so-called best friend, dropped her like a bad habit, more worried about her own reputation than loyalty. The Wilsons weren't sympathetic either. I'd kept them updated, and they saw her true colors. Linda called me a few days ago to apologize again. I don't know where we went wrong with her. Even Tom, who rarely gets involved in personal drama, told Sophie she needed to fix her life and stop blaming others. Sophie's completely isolated now. Her ex-coworkers, friends, and family want nothing to do with her. As for me, I feel like a weight's been lifted off my shoulders. For 3 years, I thought I was building a future with someone who loved and respected me. Now I see how wrong I was, but instead of bitterness, I feel free. I booked that San Diego trip solo, and it was everything I needed: surfing, hiking, enjoying my own company. It showed me how much I'd neglected myself trying to please someone who didn't deserve it. Nathan and I have stayed in touch. He's doing fine, though he admitted the workplace fallout's been awkward. He's using this as a reminder to keep stricter boundaries, and I respect him for it. He was as much a victim of Sophie's manipulation as I was. Sophie hasn't stopped trying to contact me. She's sent emails, messages from random accounts, and even showed up at my apartment once. I didn't let her in. I stepped outside and told her to leave. She started crying, saying she was sorry and just wanted to talk. "Sophie, I don't think you understand," I said. "There's nothing left to talk about. You lied, you cheated, you manipulated everyone around you. I don't care what your excuses are. You made your choices. Now you have to live with the consequences." She begged me to forgive her, saying she'd change and make things right, but I wasn't buying it. "This isn't about forgiveness," I told her. "It's about respect, and you've lost all of mine." With that, I walked back inside and shut the door. I'm focusing on myself now, and it's been incredible. Thanks to everyone for the support and advice. It's been a wild ride, but I'm finally seeing the truth and moving forward stronger than ever. I'd love to hear your thoughts or advice, and I'll keep you updated if anything else unfolds.
Thank you for listening. Please share your thoughts, like this video if you found it helpful, and subscribe for more.